actually gonna kill myself.
That's a great way to start the session.
Oh yes, let's go! Let's go! We start Twisted Fates with my deteriorating mental health.
Well, at least it's not Wolfworks.
That's true.
I can't wait for Em to forget all about this, and then for her to start the video, to edit it, and just start with, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
This will probably be on par when I think it was 2 episodes ago I started the recording, forgetting how the recording started, and Paul opened his mouth saying, I'm gonna fuck it. And that's the start of our episode.
Is that the Golbat? I think that was the Golbat.
That was the Golbat episode.
The Golbat? I don't remember.
Please don't fuck Golbat.
It was Golbat with like lingerie legs.
Oh, great. Now everyone knows the context for that.
Not if M cuts this.
I'm gonna have a little skim through the Discord. Hold on.
We'll see if future me remembers to cut this or can be bothered to cut this when I come to edit it. But for now, I will welcome you all to Twisted Fates before Paul makes a comment I will regret.
I didn't say nothing.
As
I found it.
As kind of recapping from last time, from where, well, the boys kind of left off in the Shrine of Maktor, this kind of ruined, in air quotes, it wasn't very ruined when they went into it, temple on the northern side of the encampment, a kind of more ritual site, a sacred ground for the orcs, where they had been tasked to complete the trial, to show that the forest trusted them, that the she trusted them. And from there, they had completed the entry trials to get their keys to their doors, and last session were transformed into the animals associated with them, where we attempted to speedrun the actual trials. Eidolon didn't do too bad. He was a fox who had to attempt to steal his door handle, his key to the next room, from an owlbear, and successfully did so. Ranagash took a little bit longer, as his was a kind of spot the difference, which took him forever to realise it was spot the difference, despite me saying spot the difference. Intelligence, are you sure it's 19?
I think my intelligence was 19.
Wolfric actually sped-run his trial. I think it literally took like 3 minutes, if that, in the recording. And then
watching the video render, it's like you could watch our boxes light up, since Em did a fancy visual flair for it.
Yeah.
And it's like it got past like Matthew's and it took a good amount of time. Like mine took a good time. Ewan started after mine's lit up. It took like 3 cuts and then he was lit up already. It was fascinating.
He both
Sub 250 world record run.
He literally sped-run everything in that challenge, whereas Marcusar wasn't so lucky.
What's the opposite of a speed run?
A casual playthrough.
Speed dumb.
As it took Marcusar a little while to get the key to his door, and after he was transformed into a wolf, his trial itself didn't go so well either.
Nah. It was a dumb trial.
If these trials were supposed to be like, in the eyes of she, how are you doing, and Paul failed his, what does that mean for his druidic tendencies?
Well, they're already questionable at the moment, so, you know, we'll leave that on the shelf for a little while.
Me and she ain't on the best of terms at the moment.
Where's he when you need him?
Currently inside Matthew.
My pronouns are he, because I'll never be him.
Marcusar failed his trial. With my 3 boys, the turnover trio as they returned to themselves.
Boo.
Passing through into the main hall and confronting the spirit of Maktor and his companion, his wolf companion. Where Marcusar was in the room, he was just a little bit preoccupied. Eidolon having to expend some time to go and rescue him. Bartak was also there, though not able to contribute or help. He was more glassy-eyed, as he was the witness. He was there to watch and do nothing else until you had either succeeded or failed, and thankfully you guys succeeded. with Ranagash actually doing, I think, the most damage he's ever done, ever, nearly killing a stone giant Dreamswalker by himself.
I buffed him.
You did buff him. Marcusar was actually useful and used Elemental Bane that succeeded for the first time ever.
That was insulting.
But true. It's true, but she didn't have to say it.
Where the four of you all got some really cool magical items. And gave you some stats, some buffs, as well as just gave you some cool effects in general. So hopefully we'll get to see those come into play in a little while. Hopefully not today, but I can't really say anything with the four of you. You can be unpredictable on occasion.
Agents of Chaos.
With your fucking front door fridge.
Does Wolfric have a fridge at his front door?
We're really gonna stretch this out, huh? We're just gonna keep this going all night.
Yeah, this is gonna
Yeah, we are.
Wolfric, the known chef, definitely has a fridge by his front door.
Oh yeah, he is a front door fridge.
Well,
He can cook while he's at the front door.
the element version, he has a larder or a pantry by his front door.
As after receiving your items, after defeating the giant and waking Bartak from his slumber, you guys left the ritual grounds. You left the shrine and returned, or made your way back to the encampment, though not without having some questions, as when you were in the main hall fighting the giant, the stained glass windows, or what you presumed to be stained glass windows, appeared to be just regular windows looking out onto a different realm, a different plane, and a different time. This very familiar setting, at least to some of you in mural form, going back to the Temple of the Precursors all the way down in Summerhost, and a vision that Ranagash has had before, to a field of flowers with 2 moons above it. Something that Eidolon told Ranagash to remember as perhaps, vision training. You might be prying into that later, Matthew. We'll see.
I have a Ranagash to train.
But as we begin our session tonight, you guys are just coming back into the encampment from the northern path. So you have succeeded your trials. Bartak is feeling a little bit better, though still is occasionally a little bit out of it. It seems whatever the trance was is quite lasting, rather than almost an instantaneous snap out of it kind of deal. Where the 5 of you, so obviously the 4 of you and him, start to make your way around, and he leads you back up towards the Elder's tent. Though obviously before you guys arrive there, you have chance for conversation if you would like.
I have nothing specific on my mind, so I'm good for now. Everything I said that I would have wanted to say here, I said down in the temple anyway, so...
As I sort
Unless
my
Ranagash or Marcusar have anything to say, I think we're good.
I think Marcus are still a little embarrassed they didn't finish the trial. Which I don't think you guys questioned in the actual...
Yeah, the fact that Marcusar didn't come out of a door, the fact that he was already in the main room restrained to a statue.
I mean, Paul, is that you fishing for us to ask you how you failed your
No,
trial?
you don't. I'd rather you didn't ask me, and Marcusar's gonna keep silent, hoping that no one brings it up.
That's fair.
Are any of us dickish enough to bring it up to
Oh,
Marcusar?
Marcusar!
Yeah.
You were in the middle of the room when the rest of us walked out of archways. What's up with that? Were you quicker than the rest of us?
Something like that, I suppose. Once I finished my trial, I was left in the room by myself. I couldn't see where you guys were coming from, so I kind of examined the pillars and whatnot, and I guess I must have triggered something on that pillar that caused me to be attached there.
Makes sense. I don't know enough about this temple to dispute that, so that makes sense.
Yes. It was very fortunate that you guys eventually showed up to get me out of that sticky predicament. Because I was waiting there a while. I was very quick in the trial, but yeah.
And
Hold
pray
on,
tell your trial being, solution being.
I don't know how it was for you guys, but I was transformed into a wolf. Similar to I guess, our trials before we entered the rooms, and myself and a pack of wolves, we had to defeat a yeti.
And what was the solution then?
We just had to outsmart the yeti, use our pack tactics, and be one with the pack.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So I take it from that you learned from, getting the key and how to win.
Yes.
Congratulations for growing.
Thanks.
You got a bit of a cold there.
Let me have a little drink from my skin, and no, actually, no, it would be a water skin, because I don't like that sort of stuff. I'm a vegan. Whatever I drink water out of, I take a little sip of that. Yeah, just something in my throat. Hairball.
From being
Bit
a
of
wolf.
yeti fur. Bit of yeti fur still stuck in the throat,
Sorry, I typed in vegan water skin online, and this was the only result. My apologies for distraction. I just wanted to see if there was a real vegan water skin and how to make them.
Could just be carved out like wood or something.
Or it could be an aluminum bottle.
Druids don't like metal.
Aluminum?
Yeah, druids can't use metal. As
That's why I don't carry money.
as you're kind of walking through the camp, obviously you're having this conversation. Ran, you're obviously walking with Bartak. He kind of switches to Orcish. I don't actually remember seeing your friend come out of any doors.
Fuck! I always got away with it.
The sort of point, sort of half discreetly gesture to Marcusar.
I didn't actually see him in the fight at all. I only witnessed you three.
Uh-oh.
Return. Marcusar looking sheepish. How do I feel about Marcusar? Do I want to be a dick today?
I mean, you are the bastard.
You know what? We've had a lot going on. I'll be a dick later.
To be fair, this would be your one petty attempt at getting back at him for harming your mother.
Yeah.
And
We'll be a
saving
dick
your
later.
brother.
We've got bigger fish to fry at the moment.
As you guys kind of come up towards the Elder's tent, head back in. The 5 of them are still there, still as they were when you left them. You kind of left the kind of mid-morning. It is now getting into noon or just after noon, not too long after that, where you obviously have essentially the rest of the day to chill, but the first you have to obviously try and convince the elders that you earned the trust of the forest. Where I lose an earphone.
I hope Marcusar lying there doesn't come back to bite him.
Well, it might for the 3 of you.
I'm just surprised none of you incited me.
As you kind of obviously take a step back, Ranagash obviously going forward a little bit with Bartak, and Bartak addressing the elders, though doing so in common, obviously keeping it neutral ground for the 4 of you, though you can see that at least 3 of the elders, so the kind of, I guess the more runic one and the one that's clad in white linens, they seem alright. The other 3, when he speaks in common, don't really seem too chuffed about it. As he steps forward, looks at the 5 of them. I have witnessed. He kind of stops and looks back at Marcusar and looks at Ranagash. I have witnessed these 4, and they have passed the trials. Under... He kind of struggles with his words. As he's not great at lying. This is Ranagash's forte. As he stops and you can literally see him thinking about something. Let's see, he's got a +1 to intelligence, so he's pretty, he's not stupid. Okay.
That was either the okay of this is going to go okay, or this is the M just rolled a nat 1, so okay.
Well, no, this was the roll to see if he could remember what 4 animals represent Maiar. Because then he has to work out which one is missing so he can lie about seeing Marcusar pass the trial. Under the guise of the fox, your harbinger stood tall. Ranagash stood with the spirit of the owl, and Wolfric. Yes? He kind of looks back and stares at you.
That's me.
had the might of the boar, and the elf had the spirit of the wolf. Each of them stood before the giant, and each of them passed, killing the giant with a mixture of tactics and magic to earn the trust of Maktor and the blessings of She.
I just hope the elders aren't getting an insight check on this, because there are 5 of them.
What do you think I'm rolling for?
Oh, that's a lot of dice. For a man who's not great at lying.
No, he's not. They're also not great rolls.
Let's go! Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss.
If only Marksar could ever do that successfully.
His charisma's also not great. As, I guess, for the Eidolon, Wolfric, Marksar, Bartak has always spoken very kind of confidently, very quickly. This is very stuttering, very slow. He's thinking, he's stumbling over words. Lots of kind of almost twitchy hand gestures. Ran, you can tell he's trying to lie. It's not going very well for him, as all but 2 of the elders, annoyingly, Shotha and Dalarash, they don't seem to mind that he's lying. The other 3, however, not great expressions cross their face. As the kind of centre one, the eldest, she kind of sits forward, looks at him, almost a, I guess, doubting expression, though her face is a bit more contorted than that, as she kind of leans forward. Chief, we need to know
I'm a real wee chief.
we need to know if all 4 have passed the trials. Something tells me by your tone they have not.
Marksar slinks away to the back of the group.
I'm not asking if I'm okay to speak up. I'm asking Em if I'm okay to speak up here, in case she was going to say anything else before I do.
You are okay to speak.
Cool. Eidolon, frankly irritated with these women at this point, considering he just wants to go about making sure they don't fucking die. Would step forward, probably in front of the big orc chieftain man, looking up, sour tone, addressing the 5 of them. Listen, we went to your ritual grounds, whatever you'd call them. We passed your trials. Your chief here says that we did. What more are you asking for? This is getting childish and demeaning.
Welcome to orcish culture.
That's why I'm calling them out on it. I'm getting rather frustrated.
The kind of more hooded one looks down at you. You can see very white, almost, I guess, glass over her eyes, as the hood kind of falls back just a little bit. We need to know that you have been trusted. If there is one among you who is not trusted, then we cannot speak freely amongst them.
Then, who is it?
They kind of look at Bartak. Only the witness knows.
So clearly not as all-seeing as they like to believe they are. As Eidolon would turn back and look at Bartak instead.
He is kind of almost nervously got a smile on his face, running his hand through his braids. I didn't see the elf. The man standing before you, Ranagash and Wolfric. I saw them. Their spirits embodying that of the she and of the beasts. I didn't see the elf. As the eldest kind of sits forward, looks down at you, Marcusar. Then you have permission to leave.
Like, I have permission to leave?
Em's just telling Paul to fuck off.
Well, have fun, guys. I'm getting asked to leave the.
You're getting asked to leave the town. The
Oh.
elder's town.
Marks are sheepishly just like I was already backing out of the room, kind of, with all the kind of like they're gonna find me out. So I'm basically at the door. Right? I would just like
Catch you later,
close.
Chris.
I'm back at the camp.
As Bartak kind of watches Marcusar leave, kind of turns back to the elders. I don't understand what difference it would make if I'd witnessed him or not. He was still there with them. He still fought with them. He was there when I woke up. As the elders kind of interrupt him. Yes, but he was not... he was not there under the blessing of she or the trust of Maktor. Which means we will speak to these two, but not to him. As the more muscular one, I guess, more stands up from her chair. If the chief was lying about that, what's to say he wasn't lying about the three of them? They have little respect for us, or our cultures, or our ways. That one made it clear. So why should we listen to them anymore? Why should we not just kill him? It would save the forest. As, well, Dalarash, the more runic one, kind of sits forward and looks at her. Rak, you know we cannot do that. Whether he is the Harbinger or not, he has shown that he is faithful in the eyes of she. All of them have. They did what was asked, even though they did not have to. We cannot ask any more from them. Except, perhaps what they know. And she kind of looks at Ranagash, in particular.
I'm staying looking at the muscular one who insulted me.
Sure, the feeling is mutual.
Oh, I hope so.
So what do you know?
In terms of what?
Everything. What is to happen to this forest? And if he is not the Harbinger, then what is he?
It is to burn, and he is someone who has been betrayed by the Harbinger.
So what do we do, Ran?
Find what he's doing and stop him.
As the hooded one kind of sits forward. And how do you expect we do that? We sent you away for answers, Prophet, and you have returned with nothing.
What have you spent the last 5 months doing?
We have continued to watch over this forest and protect its people. What have you done? And do not use that tone with us.
Look for answers.
As Rak kind of, I guess, takes a step forward towards you. Then where are they? You say the forest will burn, you tell us not how nor when. You tell us this man isn't the Harbinger, that he has been betrayed by the Harbinger, yet everything you have told us since, even since he has passed the trial, leads us to believe that this Harbinger follows him around. You even openly admit that you yourself have perhaps driven Myrr to burn, and what answers have you for us, Prophet?
Give me a minute.
It's okay. I'm hoping I'm pushing some buttons. Am I pushing buttons?
Which one?
Is it pushing buttons makes it hard for me to think?
Welcome to having emotions.
I hate it.
Wouldn't recommend.
No, 0 out of 10. No stars.
I get a poor Yelp review for giving Matthew emotion.
What answers do I have? Because I have a feeling not many. It's not what they want.
No, you don't really have a lot.
I mean, you've done more than they have. You came back with this group of idiots.
That is true.
We can at least kill the things that are coming.
Depends on how many of the things, though.
I'm finding they could do any better.
That's true.
I have brought knowledge of his weaknesses, how to stop him, how to defeat the things he summons. It is more than nothing.
Then what is this knowledge, and where is he so he can be defeated?
He went back up north, didn't he? As it sort of turned back to the rest of the party. There we go. Because he went through that portal and got the hell out of...
Words aren't working, are they, Matthew?
got the hell out of Dodge.
If that gateway went to the only place it could possibly go to, yes. That's exactly where he is.
There's your answer. Up north. To defeat him. Fire mostly. Seems to work. And his weaknesses. He's a man. You take away his gifts. He's fairly should be not too difficult to deal with.
The kind of centre one, I guess, looks between the three of you, looking at Bartak, who kind of more gives you an appreciative nod to actually being able to answer them for once. So, if he is in the north, why and when is the forest to burn?
Soon. And because he wants to make a point, I suppose.
I'd sort of give. If it's okay.
Yep, go Craig.
I'd sort of give Ranagash a nod, like not a nod, like a nudge, as if like I could put one thing in here which sort of enforces the reasoning.
I would give you a nod then.
Thank you. As Eidolon would more step forward again, whether he's allowed to or not, he's going to say what he needs to say. The force and power the person who will assault this forest commands, it rises that killed from the grave. There is a large amount of people here grouped up in one place, and they are vastly undefended. Simply put, your people are an expendable army for him, and one the rest of the world will not blink an eye at disappearing.
Well, the center seems to, at least the eldest kind of seems to at least be listening to you to some degree. At least to what you have to say, though, before she can, I guess, answer this hooded elder.
Is this the one who was rude to me?
Yeah, well, this one and the muscular one were both kind of rude to you.
Ah, this is the other one.
Yeah. There's only been like 2 and like kind of a half. The eldest has kind of been rude, but kind of not been rude to you, that haven't been rude to you. As speaking in Orcish, she kind of interrupts the last part of your conversation. Ranagash, obviously you can understand this. Wulfric, Eidolon, you kind of were left out the lurches. As, in quite a frustrated tone, she speaks to the eldest. I don't see why we're wasting our time with this anyway. The prophet is back. We can simply have him induce another vision and see what is going to occur. As at this point, at least for the 3 of you, obviously Bartak can understand what's going on and as well. He steps forward, speaking in common, though probably should have been speaking in Orcish, but he just doesn't. Not addressing the elders, but specifically addressing the silence. Medi, you're doing no such thing. Ranagash is here to help. He's not here for you to use him. He's given you the information he knows, and his friends are here to help. You're not making him have another vision. It's not going to do anything. He'll probably show you what's happened 3 weeks ago. And he looks at you. No offense.
I'm taken.
We don't know how long we've got, and we need to prepare. We can't be sitting around waiting on Ranagash to have the perfect vision as your herbs try to induce something from him. Again, no offense.
I don't say it this time, but just, that sort of awkward laugh you do. Yeah. That doesn't. You're being roasted, but you take it.
He's never been able to induce a specific vision before, at least not on several attempts. And something like this, I'd rather not take the chance. If it comes to listening to Eidolon, or you, I'm listening to him. Ranagash trusts him, I trust him, and the forest trusts him. You are speaking in circles. Rak doesn't care. She would sooner see his head from his shoulders. The only ones here who are speaking in any sense is Shoth and Dalarash. So, kind of turns to Ranagash, take Eidolon and Wulfric to the hunters' tents and get them rested.
Right.
I think your friend will likely be wandering outside.
I'm sure we'll find them.
As he turns back to the elders. And Vunzak, you and I are going to have a conversation alone about this.
Wulfric, are we going to start funneling our way towards the hunter's tent?
If we leave, then yeah.
Yeah,
most likely.
Wulfric will be at the back of the pack, and as soon as he's sure people are heading towards the tent, he stops at the doorway, turns back to the elders. Ranagash is an adult. I suggest you treat him as such. And he walks away.
Don't give them a chance.
Spicy.
As for
I'm just going to
Marksar-
give a nod. I'm just going to give a nod to the muscular one, very intentionally, before turning to leave.
As for Marcusar, you'll obviously kind of, I guess, be pacing outside the tent. You'll have been able to hear elevated voices at points, and you'll have been able to hear Bartak's raised voice at the end, kind of addressing the elders specifically. The camp itself, even in noon, doesn't seem to have a lot of movement, though that's probably because a lot of the orcs were already up and moving. The morning had a very busy atmosphere, the afternoon less so. As you kind of hang by a dying campfire outside the elders' tents, as the other three exit the tent, Bartak not with them.
We need to get rested up.
Are we all good though?
How are you holding up, Radagash?
With some sleep, but otherwise fine, nothing. Good night's rest can't fix.
This tent, will we be the only ones staying in this tent?
No.
Fine. Is there a fire pit that we can use just for the four of us? I'll make us dinner.
We can find one.
So, Marcusar.
Marcusar avoids conversation.
Does he just stay silent, Paul?
You said so, Marcus. That's not anything. I need more than that.
First one out. Successful trial.
That was the
Triggered a
first.
trap. Worthy in the eyes of she. Seems none of those statements speak the truth.
I'd rather not talk about it.
And you almost got this entire thing blown out of the water.
Alright, Harbinger. I think that was you who got this muddy water.
Excuse me. Would you care to elaborate on the accusation you've just made?
Okay. Well, I should have said that, but yeah, I didn't want you guys to know that I failed.
Well, luckily, even despite that, I wouldn't say we've got their trust, but we're not going to die or be thrown out.
I mean, that's a positive.
It was very close to not being the case. You care to say what actually happened?
I failed the trial, and I woke up attached to the pillar.
Is that all?
Not much else to say.
Alright. Alright.
If you wish to know the specifics, the pack of wolves and fighting the Yeti, that was true, but the Yeti made swift work of all of us.
No, the specifics weren't required. It was just in case anything, I suppose, extra happened as a consequence for failing. As Bartak, yes, as I turned to Ranagash,
Give you a hurt nod.
said he couldn't even see you in the fight.
But I was there.
We know that.
Curious.
Just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything additional.
Perhaps is your deathless nature, whatever has brought you back, is shielding you, is causing you to be obscured from the power of the she.
Wouldn't be the first time that I feel that I'm not as connected to her as I wish I was.
But this time it isn't your choice. This isn't a lack of your own faith. I've never seen a man more devoted to his faith than you. You've been twisted in a way that you did not ask for.
Whilst we are in a place such as this that seems to be anchored to your faith, perhaps you should try communing with her. Maybe not through your own connection, but through this place's connection. Maybe then you can try for some answers.
Not worth it. Not a bad idea. Radagash, do you have a place of worship here?
Do we?
We might have just been there.
Yeah, is it just the elders, the ritual grounds?
I don't think we have. Do we have anywhere specific? Or
You
is it
guys-
just the forest?
You guys don't really have anywhere specific. Religion
No.
is a very foreign concept to the orcs. You guys have or have always had an equal relationship with she. You've never held her up in an esteem.
Mhm.
It's kind of just been like she is there to help you. She is not a goddess to the orcs. She's just the spirit of
It's like-
nature.
Yeah, it's like how people see like Buddha
Yeah.
compared to how people see like Jesus. As
Yeah.
in they're like a friend, but not like a deity. Yeah, so no, we don't. Is your answer. But the forest is there, so go nuts.
Last time I wandered off by myself, some bad shit happened.
Pray here. It's close enough.
Suppose I'll pray a little. But perhaps when we return to the camp.
As the four of you kind of head down, kind of the winding, almost dirt tracks towards the hunters' tents, which most of them have been packed away or left without tarps, as a lot of the hunters have left for the day. There is still obviously the big central tent that is still standing, and well, at least for the afternoon, you guys have the space to yourselves, at least until Bartak comes to join you. Perhaps in an hour or so, if there was anything the four of you kind of wanted to do in the downtime, but if not, he will arrive and join you.
Right, I'll start making dinner for us then.
No, apart from just being in a foreign place, Eidolon just looks a little perturbed, but apart from that, he wouldn't say too much.
Right.
Well, I
Anyone-
suppose.
Anyone got any requests?
Eidolon's not a chef, so he doesn't know what food, like, what phrases evoke food is the best way to put it.
Leather jerky.
That's all I'm used to. Well, I got better food, it's just I don't know what it's called.
Right, I'll get to work. You just talk amongst yourselves. I'll start listening.
Were you going to
I
say
know
anything,
Paul's
Paul?
praying.
Well, since we've talked about it, I suppose I shall try to find a quiet spot to pray.
Do you want to give me a wee religion roll?
Ooh, I've done one of these in a while.
Yeah, well, you've not been very religious in a while.
Okay. Called out.
Whoa there.
Whoa. It's a +1.
You can do it!
Yeah, it's your religion's based on your intelligence, and he's not that smart.
Yo, he can do it.
Can do it, though. You kind of go not too far away from camp. You kind of have that anxiety of, if I go too far, bad shit's gonna happen. So you
Wolf
kind
gonna
of
show up again. Bad wolf. Don't want to see wolf.
So you kind of keep close to the camp, but far enough that the kind of leathers and bones, tanning racks, carcasses, that sort of thing is out of sight, and you kind of are almost in a little enclosed section of the wood. Not too far from the trail that the orcs and likely the people of Kinreen probably use to come back and forth. Where, what do you say in prayer? What do you pray for? What do you do or what are you doing when you're praying?
I suppose I reiterate what Wolfric and Eidolon sort of suggested, that I don't feel as connected to she anymore, which is obvious through my sort of pact with Gaerdrah. But even in this place, which is meant to be quite strong with the she, I'm definitely not feeling it. In the trials, in the ritual grounds, I barely got through the first trial, and I didn't succeed the second, and I was blind to Bartak. It's like, is she even there anymore? Well, maybe not so, is she gone, is more just like, am I so far gone that is there any way of getting back on that path?
Can you give me a perception check?
I'm good at these ones.
50, not bad. Ranagash, Eidolon, can you also give me perception checks?
Indeed you do.
Wolfric is cooking.
He's focused. 21.
That for later. 11.
Cool. Ran, you don't see anything. Eidolon kind of coming from the wood, or the woodland where Marcusar kind of disappeared off to just kind of pray. You know he's not too far. If he was standing up, kind of rather than sitting amongst leaves, you probably would be able to see him from where the three of you are sat around this kind of bigger, almost bonfire-style fire pit. But you can see a quite... At first you perhaps mistook it for Wolfric's axe, that kind of white, yellowy light, though it changes quite quickly into having more of those technicolor, kaleidoscopic shades to it. That seems to just be splitting the trees as if there is a source of sunlight or even torchlight coming from within the woods. Marcusar, as you are sitting praying, perhaps only a few feet in front of you though, shining very brightly to the point where it's casting quite an elongated shadow from yourself, is a small, looks like a small flame, maybe 4 or 5 inches tall. Not attached to anything, not burning anything, not burning a white light, a blue light, or even an orange light. It's burning that kind of kaleidoscopic colours, where a small trail of the flames, once you catch sight of them, start to almost ignite and appear and form a trail into the woods.
Oh god, I'm gonna have to wander into the woods again on my own.
Depends if you want to wander into the woods. You could say no to the rainbow flame and go, nah, I'm not doing that again.
Marksar would do it anyway. Because if this ain't like, oh, I go into prayer and a magic flame appears before me, it's like, this is a good sign, must be. You know, I think I'd be too clouded in my judgment of like, I need to have a connection with the she. This happens, like, that must be it. So yeah, I would follow it.
Would Eidolon do anything? As now you would be able to see Marcusar get up and start to kind of almost pace, though you wouldn't see what he's walking towards.
I'm gonna turn to Ranagash in that case and more just point over to where the light's coming from. I don't know if that would help him see that or not.
It would.
Something tells me Marcusar is being led off into the woodland again.
Has that ever gone well?
Track record says no, but the facts were in my are, and well, it doesn't look black nor purple.
Do we let him?
Eidolon more just gives a shrug, just like, do you... I mean, this is your home. Do you want me to follow him and make sure he doesn't burn it to the ground?
Wouldn't be a bad idea. Especially since the elders don't need more reasons to distrust them.
Are you wanting to accompany?
I don't think I can hide very well. Well, I don't suppose he wants company right now.
I'll either be back when he's done, or I'll be back with his head.
Great, thanks.
Vote of confidence.
Comforting.
As I'll leave my equipment and sort of slowly and attempt to light foot up to where I saw Marcusar going.
Give me stealth.
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 12.
Ah! Marcusar, you're being followed.
Am I potentially able to use my greaves to turn into leaves?
For 30 feet, yeah.
It means I wouldn't be seen if I made a noise.
That is true, you would kind of just be a whoosh of leaves.
I know how that would happen though, and it would look semi-entertaining.
How's that?
As it's more, Eidolon would stand up, and if he would be perceived, I don't know if Marcusar would turn around or not.
Even if I see you or not, I think I'm gonna just leave you to whatever you're doing.
It's if I would be perceived, Eidolon would almost take that step back for a second, almost like, fuck it, I'll just head back to the group. And then, as his sort of boot hits the ground, it almost melds in with the leaves that he accidentally kicked up, and just sort of
He disappears.
turns into that same flurry.
I mean, yeah, I don't think Marcusar would pay any mind. He's used to he's used to Eidolon following him.
Yeah, Eidolon doesn't trust you, so he follows you a lot. As you follow these kind of wisps into the wood, where you're not really too sure where they're leading you. At least they seem to have an idea, but you've got no clue. As every time you get probably within a foot of any of them, they kind of dispel, and then you can see the next one, and you kind of continue that way for a little while. Until you're kind of taking them, well, you do have quite a high wisdom score, so you kind of know your way around the woods pretty well, where they seem to have taken you round almost a wide berth on the camp and back towards, well, the Orcish ritual grounds. Though they don't take you towards the ward, they seem to take you a little bit further from that, where the ruins have stretched out. Something that the orcs probably don't deem as important as the shrine itself, but something that is still there, that has been covered by earth and is left to be enveloped by time.
Okay.
Where you seem to be standing in a structure, or at least the ruins of a structure that looks very similar to the stones in Eidolon. Not as well preserved, not as well kept, and it looks like civilization has kind of encroached on these at one point, whereas Eidolon's are still very natural. Where the last wisp, the last flame, kind of bobs not too far from the entrance to the stone circle.
I enter the stone circle.
As you do so, the wind seems to almost pick up. Eidolon, your leaves are somewhat carried as you re-emerge as person Eidolon and not leafy Eidolon.
He mutters a fuck under his breath. Didn't know that would happen.
As you kind of see Marcusar within the centre of these, or the centre of this stone circle, though his appearance seems to be quite obscured by the kind of flurry of debris and foliage that starts to be caught by this wind, seemingly coming from nowhere and just encircling this area. As for Marcusar, kind of stepping amongst, well, the hill, the ruins, and starting to form into a creature of sorts, though perhaps this is a bit more real than what you remember or what you can recall, as you don't remember falling asleep and you don't remember dreaming, as a almost stag made of leaves and foliage, flowers almost budding against its brow, forms and steps into the circle. Eidolon, you'll be able to see just through the veils of foliage this beast just appearing from nowhere.
Still catching his, footing. I'll just take a measure against the tree.
You continue to ask me for questions, and yet you have found no answers.
I guess I don't know what answers I seek.
By now I had hoped you would have.
I've been led astray by temptation. But I've seen the errors of my way, yet I still don't feel connected. When I try to use magic, the things I bring to life are not creatures that are not worthy of you.
It is worthy of me.
You bring life and joy to the world, and I bring death and destruction.
In this forest, I also bring death.
I'm not to question your... what's the word?
Judgment?
Yeah, I suppose.
Not questioning your divinity.
Yes.
It is not a question, nor is it a doubt. It is a different perception.
I feel like I know what I need to do, but when I try to do it, it always goes wrong for me. I don't want someone to hold my hand and tell me what to do, but I don't know what to do.
Try standing beside someone, rather than standing alone.
My friends try to help me as much as they can, but I don't feel like they understand.
And how am I to understand? I am not here.
Where are you?
Far from this place. For now I remain as the wind, enough for you to speak to, but I can do no more.
Don't really know what I want to ask. It was like a genie, I get 3 questions or whatever. Even after we defeat this evil, which I'm still not sure that we will, I don't know what else there is for me. I've died twice. And I feel like I did so protecting my friends in this world and you, but I keep coming back. And I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting toyed with. Like, I don't necessarily have a purpose.
Well, what is it you want?
I want whatever you want. I want nature to flourish, a world at peace.
And how do you know that is what I want?
I just assume.
No one ever asked her.
No one, everyone asks,
Who is
why she? Who is she? But everyone asks, how is she? Why is she? Because our teachings, everything my father had said, was that that's what you had wanted.
Look at the people of this wood. They follow my teachings.
But they hunt your animals.
The animals I gave them. They make use of the trees I gifted them.
And what of the cities and the towns that have needlessly cut down acres of your forests to industrialize?
They do so to move on.
Are you saying that our way is outdated?
When I spoke to you before, in a different form, from a different place, you were different then. You had purpose and you had certainty, and you've lost it.
I think I was a dragonborn as well.
When I spoke to you then, I wished for you to see something else.
What did you wish for me to see?
That you cannot have one without the other.
a yin to the yang. What's happened to me recently? Is there any change in it? I.e. my... what is it? Circle the Undying?
Not here. There is little left in this place that I can still reach out and speak. And there is little that still holds my magic.
Will your magic leave us someday?
As all things.
And then what of the forests, plants, the animals?
They will continue as they did before I came.
And what of us, the Green Hand?
That is for you to decide.
I haven't done my job to protect them. I have been an absent father. I went out for cigarettes and I haven't come back yet.
I knew he was going to say it. I was waiting for it.
I was trying to resist making a joke about your absent father too, but you know.
My father, I have been absent, as my father before me and his father before him. I come from a long line of absent fathers.
Oh, you should
It's
really
very
get that checked up.
It's a very disconnected line because of the absence, you know.
What's of the absence? You know?
Then that I can give no advice. There are things you need to decide for yourself, choices you need to make on your own. I will not always be here. But there are some who will be, at least in your lifetime. So perhaps instead of finding faith in me, you could perhaps find some faith in them.
Okay.
As the wind kind of dies down, her form is taken by the wind. Eidolon, you kind of get blown over a little bit as the wind is very much dispelled. As Marxar, you stand alone in the stone circle, seeing the rush of wind and Eidolon in the background.
Did you get all that?
Did I get all that?
You'll have heard none of that. Well, at least none of her side of the conversation. You'll have heard Marxar's side of the conversation.
Just, I've been an absent father.
I didn't
You
know
certainly
you had kids.
seemed very self-involved.
You know this. I don't. Been struggling with who I am and what I need to be doing. Short term, defeat Gaerdrah. Long term, I don't know.
I trust, even though, well, I've heard absolutely nothing except from you talking to yourself, but I trust that wasn't the case.
Did you see who I was? You saw that as well, right?
I saw an animal.
But it was she.
Eidolon Moore looks slightly surprised for a second. I don't know if happy's the word, but, well, it's good that she's still willing to talk to you.
She says her power's fading from the world. But that's a good thing. I think.
The only opinion that matters here is, does she mind? This sounds like a really weirdly contrived message about consent.
Is she okay with it? Has she reassured you? Is she sober? How would... You know... If she stops being okay with it, like, do I have to stop? You know?
Yes.
Of course. Not an idiot. She didn't seem to mind. It's almost inevitable for her.
Surely you shouldn't mind?
I'm not one to question her power, but if I don't have her, I have nothing.
If you're nothing without the she, then you shouldn't have it.
You're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have it.
Literally.
No, that... Shit, it just sounds like I'm making the meme now, but that is roughly...
That is what
I'm
you're
just gonna
saying.
I'm just gonna say the meme, but in character. Well, if you're nothing without the she, then who's to say you should have her in the first place?
That's the thing, I don't think I should. I failed the trial in the ritual grounds. You said Bartak couldn't see me.
That's what he said. Do you still believe and trust in the she?
Of course.
Then, whatever it is she's recommended you do, I'd suggest to start doing that.
She suggested I find faith in others.
Just as long as you're not finding faith in Gaerdrah, I'd say that's a rather good start.
Nah, fuck that guy.
Fuck him.
Literally, worst decision of my life.
What, coming
Coming-
back to life or saying yes to whatever he offered you?
Yeah, I should have just said no. That was
You
a real-
never did take time to mention what he offered you.
He offered me the Dream's Door. A world returned to nature.
And do you perchance have any inclination of what that could be?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Ed, but it was like the door was basically like this. The whole blight and everything is kind of like his way of it'll return to nature, because the blight will kill everyone.
Well, he didn't obviously say that. But yeah, his kind of...
That was my interpretation of it.
Yeah. It was kind of the implication of he knew what your dreams door was. He knew where it is, or knows where it is. English isn't really working for me tonight. Yeah, he knows where it is. He knows what your dreams door is. He kind of knows how to use it, and
Okay.
it will kind of get you what you're searching for. An ability, a way to restore the world to normal.
Okay, I read it as like he was like, oh yeah, like I'll get you the Dream's Door, but basically like it doesn't do any of the shit I want. It works in his favor.
Well, you can kind of
Um,
take that implication, considering, he's very willing to let you have it. And he's not very
Yeah.
willing to let anyone else have anything else. The only other thing that he kind of, I guess, suggested when he was doing it, which kind of obviously kind of cornered Marcusar more to his side originally, was the fact that Eidolon apparently knows or has some idea of what the Dream's Door might be, because apparently the Watchmen are told about it. And Eidolon's been keeping that information from you.
Okay, I don't remember that. You said the Watchman knew what the Dream's Door was.
Not a term I'm at all familiar with until you brought it up.
But does a door of any kind, a passage, a portal, exist like that?
Before we were in Thornsguard, I would have said no.
However,
After we got Sophia back, I think I know what your dream's door is.
does it do as I've been told, or has Gaerdrah been lying? Not for the first time.
In the heart. Before I start this, if I tell you what this is, if you mention it to anybody, you're dead, and not even by my hand. And secondly, if I tell you what it is, you have to promise me that under no circumstances you go anywhere close to it.
Gaerdrah's willingness to let me have it implies that it's something that I should have. I don't believe I seek it anymore.
In the heart of Ilvania, the blight didn't just appear, it came from somewhere. It's not
It's what-
something perceivable to the mortal eye. It's a gap in reality.
A wormhole.
The blight came through it, and you've seen how strong it is. The problem we have is that it's closed. The blight that we fight is merely the parts that are getting through the cracks. The fissure isn't open. Or I suppose, if you want me to put it as the Green Hand might want to see it, the Dream's Door is closed.
So, well, surely that means that no more is getting through. No? Is that what you're implying? Some of it's
As I
getting
said, some of it's getting through, it's slowly leaking out over time, which gives us more time than, well, wherever it's come from, I presume. But you've seen what the blight does to living things. I don't think I need to spell out what opening that might do.
through? Can we destroy it?
I don't know because no one's ever gotten close enough to check.
Yeah, that doesn't sound at all like how my dad described it.
You really need to start considering if your dad was anyone who you thought he was.
I never really knew my father. He was quite an absent father, really.
You know, if you want a better insight into who your dad was, you could ask Ranagash. You didn't see what he was doing, but I'm sure his visions might.
I think I've suffered enough trauma today.
And you'll suffer more before you can put it behind you.
Travel the world, they said. Spread the word of the Green Hand, they said.
They said none of that.
No one said that. I said that to myself.
That was my pep talk before I left.
I looked myself in the mirror like, you're gonna have a good time. But then I didn't.
Good times were not had.
I imagine the two of you would probably head back at this point.
Bro, well, this conversation could probably be had like on the way back.
Does whether Paul wants to say anything to close it off?
He's not good at closers.
I'm very bad at closers. My ideas just kind of trail off, and you never get the end. I suppose I need to be more open-minded.
I mean, you could always ask for something that Wolfric's cooking.
I don't think I'm ready for that quite yet. Let's see what he was cooking it away.
I mean, you could go from vegan to vegetarian.
Try cheese.
Cheese.
Jesus, James may cheese us.
Yeah. I don't know if the slamming of my desk was audible.
That's
Jeez.
the second best James May meme of all time.
First one being.
He's a quite cute fellow, rather. I think I'll call him Bob. Moments later, Bob is decapitated. Moments later, Bob is dismembered.
What's that from?
I think it's from his special where he goes to Japan.
Ah, our
And
man in
he names
Japan.
an octopus.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It is an octopus, yes. I've just googled it.
So
Yeah.
these are getting
back to Wolfric's cooking. Ba-la-la-la-la.
As you get to come back into camp.
Marcus R, I've made yours, and it's kind of on its own little stove. I'll
What-
just start serving up dinner.
What did you make me, Wolfric?
Risotto. It's a vegan risotto. But for the rest of us, it's seafood risotto.
Oh, fuck yes.
Seafood in the middle of the forest.
I
not
can
created with
make
water.
It's
food
not created with
magically.
I know, but like I was more just like, would the orcs be like, what the fuck is that?
No, they're a bit like maybe a week if tops from the ocean here, so
Okay, okay.
there would be hunting parties that would go out there at that point. As you kind of sit down to have food.
Ranagash, good news.
is there
Trying to burn down your
is there-
forest.
Is there perchance a hard cheese nearby?
Zan.
I mean,
If-
there'll
if-
probably be
wait,
some
if-
ingredients left over.
Wolfric will have like tidied everything up. It's like you're looking deep in thought there, Marcus R. Right? You wanting something?
I'm curious.
Yes.
And I was wondering, perchance, if I could put some Elrond equivalent of Parmesan on this risotto.
Of course. I saved some. Here you go. If you really want to, I think what would be good is there's a food that I don't think you've ever had yet that I think would be your good first step into trying cheese. Would you like me to prepare that once you're done with your dinner?
I suppose.
Okay, so we'll sit down and we'll enjoy our vegan risotto for Marcus R, but for the rest of it, including Bartak, a seafood risotto.
I turn to Ranagash and just say, I think I brought back the wrong elf.
Lean over.
Right.
We're into the middle distance for a minute and just. You don't see. Fuck, I've forgotten his name. What's the asshole called?
Which asshole?
The big asshole.
Lucian.
No. The actual.
The big
Yeah.
asshole,
Big
Lucian!
asshole with the wolf and the sword. That asshole.
Gaerdrah.
Gaerdrah, that's the name. I just.
His name.
You don't see
Kind of
Gaerdrah on the horizon, do you?
BBEG. Just like, what's his name?
It slipped my mind.
I
I'm in
would
such
hope-
a state of shock.
I would
Why
hope
did you-
I'd be able to see him.
Why didn't you save that for when we encountered? It was like, excuse me, but who are you?
Right.
Because that was out of character.
I have, like, as they're eating, Wolfric's just like, I have a question, and it's purely a hypothetical theory. Ranagash, when you had that vision, you were able to pull a person from that vision of the past, right? With Eidolon. They kind of became real.
Kind of.
I don't like that notion, but it did certainly feel that way.
if they are actually real and from that point in the past, surely if we just, got Eidolon to have a vision of Gaerdrah and then then we would stop him from existing. Unless you know what, maybe messing with time is not something we should attempt. Never mind, disregard the point.
Baby Hitler argument.
Wait, is that what we're doing here? But no, it
Is it
isn't
moral to kill Gaerdrah if he's a baby?
Wolfric accidentally pitches the baby Hitler argument.
But I think that doesn't necessarily kill our Gaerdrah. I think that kills a Gaerdrah of a different timeline because we've altered it.
Yeah, we've altered the timeline, so there is...
There will now be a timeline where Gaerdrah dies of a fucking heart attack in another timeline.
Right, so...
Markstar brings out a big chalkboard. It's like, now see, and he takes this chalk. Now this is our timeline, linear. And what happens if we go back to the past and take Gaerdrah from it and I draw an adjacent line? And I'm giving off big Dr. Emmett Brown vibes. It's like, we create a new timeline.
But we're not in that timeline.
We're not in that timeline. So what we gotta do, we gotta get back to the future.
Right.
Someone get a fucking DeLorean.
Once we're all
What's
done...
a DeLorean, Eidolon?
I don't fucking know.
DeLorean does sound like an anagram of Eidolon. Like if Eidolon created a car company, he would call them DeLorean or something like that.
Right.
Even though there's no R.
Once we're all done with dinner, he'll tidy up, put everything away. It's like, now Marcusar, you're going to try cheese for the first time, and I would like this to be memorable. So I will cast Create Food and Water again, and I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes crafting painstakingly the best fucking grilled cheese sandwich you've ever seen.
I had grilled cheese for lunch today, and it was amazing.
Oh, grilled cheese now.
Like Wolfric is paying every minute detail. Like he's toasting the bread to perfection. He's slicing the cheese in just the right way.
Give me a survival.
Don't. You need a 17.
If you've not got survival, it's obviously just your proficiency bonus.
Wait, did you just give him a 17, Matthew?
Take the 17. We need it for the because this is funny.
Okay, so 7.
Just have the most legendary grilled cheese.
Utensils, right?
Do you have a wisdom mod?
I do now.
So it's 18.
He does now.
I thought I had proficiency in cook's utensils.
Yeah, so do you have proficiency in survival?
No.
So it's +3, so it's a non-nat 20.
Why is it only +3?
The proficiency bonus is
oh
plus
yeah,
4.
fuck. Sorry, I was making character sheets earlier.
So it's 22.
So
So it's 22. This is the best fucking grilled cheese sandwich in the history of grilled cheese sandwiches.
There isn't a history of grilled cheese sandwiches.
You are
Wolfric,
you are creating the grilled cheese sandwich.
It is a pretty good sandwich with cheese in it, Marcusar.
Well, you're telling me that.
like cheese.
I'm gonna say, it looks really good, but I want to try it. I've never had a dairy product in my life.
Give me a Constitution saving throw.
That's what I was expecting.
The DC is how good the meal is.
Yeah. Okay, wish me luck, boys. Marksar takes this. Feels like it's, I don't know.
It'll be nice. It'll be gooey. Like it'll be stringy.
It's very. Like, I sort of like pull it apart. It gets like the big.
There are herbs in there. There are herbs in there.
Ooh. Hearing herbs is just okay. I like herbs. Would the bread been made with non-vegan products?
No, you'll just toasted the bread to perfection. The cheese makes it moist.
No, I was thinking. Does bread actually have like what? How do you make bread?
It's fucking bread.
You can have non-animal product bread. It's just very flat.
The simplest and most original form of bread is vegan.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Only new age bread. Only new age bread.
Let's just assume in this medieval of settings that this bread is also vegan.
It's magic bread. It's magic bread made by my magic god powers.
Well, let's just assume that the magic bread is vegan.
Paul, eat the fucking grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah, like very like cautiously like a bite, just like a small morsel, just like the corner of the bread, and
you feel a little queasy.
oh shit!
It tastes pretty good, but you feel kind of queasy.
It's literally the first day I've ever had, so
Yeah.
that would. Also, it's
This
just
will
like
be a
it's a
rough
is
time
a
to
is a
find out
texture
Marcus.
I am not familiar with.
It'll be a rough time to find out that the reason why Marcusar's vegan is because the entire congregation's actually vegetarian, but they found out Marcusar's lactose intolerant.
Yeah, like it's a bit rubbery, it's kind of stringy, it's got a good taste to it, but the texture's almost like tacky, where you're not really sure what to do with it. And then it kind of leaves you that little bit queasy as you just kind of feel the warm cheese slide down your throat. Almost in a lump, rather than like small morsels that you're used to of dry food.
It's just because I don't know how to eat a fucking sandwich.
Well, you don't really know how to eat cheese. You don't really know if it's like, do you swallow it and let it go down, or do you like...
I turned back to Wolfric. It's like, this is a very strange sensation.
I do forget sometimes that you've never eaten cheese before, so I don't know how to broach explaining cheese.
Explain cheese to someone who has never eaten cheese.
I don't know how to explain cheese to a person who's never eaten cheese before. It's like that whole, how would you ask a bat to explain what it's like to be a bat? Because all it knows is being a bat.
Yeah. I think Marksar would very cautiously take a second bite.
Left.
It's like, maybe I just like, because it's new, that I'm kind of like feeling, ugh. Maybe if I take another bite, it'll be
You
better.
gotta chew it, you gotta really savour it. That's some solid bread.
Okay.
Some solid bread.
The second bite's not as bad. It still kind of leaves you feeling strange, but again, it's more because you've never really had this kind of thing before.
Okay.
It's kind of new textures, new smells, new tastes, and new
Okay.
sensations trying to eat. Though, again, the flavour is what perhaps maybe you could get used to, just maybe in a different form.
In a different, like, this is a very, it's a very unusual way to eat cheese for the first time.
It is. Melted cheese is always strange to eat cheese for the first time.
But I think I enjoyed it.
Wolfric is like, I calculated it, and that grilled cheese sandwich should have the perfect cheese to bread ratio.
I'll take your word for it.
I think we've been traveling for a long time, but that tops the strangest sentence I've heard over the past 4 months.
I don't know if you ever made one of these things before, Eidolon, but it is paramount that you get the cheese to bread ratio correct.
I had Eidolon the second half of my cheese.
I very hesitantly take cheese sandwich.
If there's too much cheese, it gets gooey and runny, and it makes the bread soggy, even if it's toasted. If there's too much bread, the bread overpowers the cheese and dries it out overall.
Listen,
You need that perfect ratio.
Wolfric, I have only tried cooking a very slim amount of times in my life, and one of those times I lit my stone house on fire.
That's just fucking impressive. Try the sandwich.
I will consume the sandwich.
It is good sandwich, although it's very cheesy.
That's the point.
How
the
the
point.
sandwich work?
Do you like grilled cheese by any chance? Or is this like, are you kind of just going through your own experiences of grilled cheese?
It depends on like the grilled cheese. I quite like grilled cheese, but it's got to be like, I don't really like a grilled cheese sandwich. I like cheese on toast.
I am a big fan of a tuna and cheese toasty.
I just heard Craig vomit in his mouth.
I just heard Craig gag.
Yeah, Craig doesn't do tuna.
Fucking can't stand.
I do a cheese toasty, but then I'll maybe put some cold cuts in there, maybe some like salami or some chorizo.
That could be good.
So I've
Shit
heard
busted.
try to start a sentence like 4 times now, so
Sorry.
we should let her.
It's more because I was wanting to cut to break, and then it got into
Oh,
grilled
ooh.
cheese talk. Just so I can get some
Let's
more
go.
juice.
And a grilled cheese.
Well, you don't have time to make a grilled cheese, Paul. You got to be back sharp.
Fucking watch him.
I'm gonna make granola.
Watch me. It'll be the 3rd grilled cheese I've had today. Not including the one I had in this session. 4 grilled cheeses.
As we'll kind of come back, probably closer to nightfall, from break after I get some juice and not grilled cheese. And Paul doesn't make a grilled cheese because we don't have time for that. But
Ewan can go make a grilled cheese with the cheese in his door fridge.
that's true. Is we will see you all in a little bit. Wow,
Did Dr.
Matthew, your
Picture read
face was
something?
like really big when I just came back from break there. It's a very zoomed in face of Matthew. Also,
you-
your
are
17
you
is still
calling-
here.
Are you
Go
calling Matthew big-headed? That's so rude of you, Em.
I mean, he kind of is. It's kind of because he's sitting so close to the camera that he's like the most zoomed in out of the four of you.
Mm-hmm.
It also makes you look very small because the back of your chair is like really high up on your neck, so it kind of just looks like you're sitting on a really, really big chair.
He's a little kid standing on a chair.
I was coming back
Well,
from
now
break.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
Ah,
Yeah, I've got you all. I was taking juice.
I
Paul has
made
his-
I made grilled cheese,
He genuinely made grilled cheese because I had to take a phone call.
and it was fucking delicious. Better than Wolfric's. That's a lie.
I mean, this one doesn't make you feel queasy, I hope.
Yeah.
No, I'm not lactose intolerant. I'm not a vegan, so
Not yet.
As
I don't like the implication of that.
the four of you, I guess it's kind of a silent afternoon into evening. Bartak is obviously with the four of you, though kind of keeps to himself for that afternoon. He seems very closed. Even with yourself, Ran, he doesn't really seem up for much chat, nor does he really eat very much as you guys get into nightfall. And, well, I know Craig had plans for nightfall.
I mean, yes, but Matthew is then also forced to have plans because of this.
Ha ha ha, Matthew stares at you venomously.
As, you know, maybe after about an hour or two after everybody's asleep, Ranagesh, this will be semi-familiar. For about maybe 3 nights in a row now, you'll get kicked in the side.
Why the side?
Maybe you're already
Why
awake,
don't mix it
and I
up?
kick you anyway.
Kick him in the balls.
Crush his chance of future family.
I'd rather not be stepped on. Thanks.
Conservative, don't tread on me. As yes, Ranagesh, you're kicked. But you might already be awake if this is becoming habit. If I've got Ranagesh awake, I'll just look back, I'll look down at him and just say, well, you coming?
Very glad I escaped being forced to do visions by the elders to be forced to do visions by you.
Tell me, Ran, which
And
would you
get
prefer?
up. Point taken.
As before we leave, I'd more look towards where I know the, is Bartak here? I'm assuming he's in his tent.
No, he'd have gone home.
Is your, friend alright?
He's alive. That's good. It's
No, for the entire afternoon he seemed phased. That's what I mean, is he alright?
this thing has been known to affect people.
I guess I should more cut to the point. Do you want to check up on him before we leave?
It's not a bad idea.
Alright, I would be a lot more comfortable with you entering than I.
Oh, you mean now?
Yes, now.
So caught up in no, euphoria is not the right word.
Euphoria is not the right word.
I completely lived in a world where I had no perception of time. Anyway,
Listen, Ran, I'd love to take breaks and just say we'll do it in the morning, but... Well, as you've seen, we rarely have the leisure of time.
yep.
Lead on, Wolfman.
I guess we're going to visit Bartok then, see if he's still awake.
As you head to the chieftain's tent and head in. The tent itself is in darkness, at least for the majority of it. There are a few candles that are still burning down to a wick, but there is silence in the tent, unless you obviously call out.
I think he needs his rest.
You sure?
It'll help him recover.
I'm more just looking at Ranagesh, just like, yeah, if this is what you want to do. I'm not forcing you to call out to your friend.
As the two of you kind of keeping your voices low are obviously talking in the tent, the flap of the back room kind of opens and he kind of comes out, very tired looking. What are the two of you doing here?
I do the closest thing to Ellerant Jazz hands as I just essentially back out of the conversation.
I was gonna say we're like half turned at the tent and we just slowly pivot round to face someone. We were checking on you.
You were checking on me.
His idea.
And why did you have the idea to check on me?
Because you looked more perturbed than you did when we came out of the ritual site. So I offered Ranagash to check on how his friend was doing. Eidolon more just states very just matter of fact.
I will be alright. Conversation with the eldest didn't go as smoothly as I would have preferred.
Matthew, I'll let you take this.
I would ask, but it's chieftain's business, and I assume if it affects me, I would find out eventually anyway.
So why not ask?
God, this man is everything Ranagash wants to be.
I should. You know better. Fine. What happened? What's happening? What's going on? What's the deal?
The elders aren't giving us any support. They don't trust you. They don't trust your friend. They don't like the fact I spoke out against them, which has put us in a small predicament should the forest get attacked.
Can't say I'm surprised.
No, I just wished for better outcomes speaking to Vunzak alone. I hoped without Rak and Medi she could perhaps be reasoned with. At least see some sense, especially considering, well, you did what they asked. Stubborn hags are so stuck in their ways they'll get us all killed.
You're not wrong.
So I was deep in thought. As much as I can be, before you make a comment, bastard. I was trying to think of a way that we could perhaps not die, which would be pleasant.
I'm really starting to get the impression, as I turn to Ranagash saying this, that he has the brains out of the two of you, and I don't know how I feel about that.
First of all, I'm offended. Second of all, he has the practical know-how. I'm the magic and the, two halves of the... I'm too tired for this shit.
The way our relationship has worked, and the way it's worked since that idiot saved my arse, when he really shouldn't have at this point. I come up with the ideas and he tells me if they're stupid or not.
Okay, fine. Apocalypse on the way. What are we doing? As I'd look up at the chief. Then Ranagash can say if whatever you say is a dumb idea. If I'm getting the grasp here.
That's about it. So how do you boys feel about an early morning tomorrow?
Depends what the Orcish definition of early is.
About 3-4 hours before sunrise. If not earlier.
Easy. Done.
Medi, Rak, and Vunzak aren't going to give us help. There is no point going to speak with them. Though their abilities would be helpful, they are not going to help. Unless you want to try and charm them, Ranagash, but, well, it might mean you might end up doing something you don't want to do.
Yes.
Shotha and Dalarash, however, well, Dalarash will trust you even if she doesn't want to. You passed the trials, you passed her judgment. She trusts you. And Shotha always had a soft spot for Yaran. If you asked, she'd help. In the mornings, Dalarash goes to the ritual grounds to reinstate the wards. If we talk to her on her own, we could get her help. If we can get wards set up around the camp, then we have her magic on side. I know no one stronger. At least in that expertise. In terms of blowing stuff up, you're still second to none.
I've always had a penchant for that.
I use fire magic in a forest. You don't get many chances to show off, so you tend to take advantage.
That, and we used to blow people's tents up. It was quite fun.
You ended up as chief.
Yes, it was a rather snap decision after my father died. I didn't want it. I didn't get a choice.
Well, alright.
The other option is Shotha. She attends the healer's tent to train our druids. We need her healing magic. If anyone gets injured, we need to be able to cure them. We need to keep as many men as we can in the fight. If the numbers are as how you say, Eidolon, we are outmatched 100 times over.
Ranagash. This might seem like a insulting question, but please humor me with this. Can I trust him with information?
Yeah.
I need clarity before I say anything so that I don't have to get him killed.
Be trusted.
If your people get injured during this fight, there's a high chance that they will die without said portion of their bodies being removed.
Then I need to be able to have a cleric who can remove them quickly, efficiently, and keep them in a fight.
I take it this person can do that.
I know no one better.
That's all I needed to hear. My apologies.
My other issue is the hunters. Some of them are still in the woods. I need someone to go and get them back. They'll be in the hunting grounds and the area around it. If you're up early enough, well, I obviously need to attend my usual duties. I can't raise any form of suspicion, at least amongst the other 3 elders, but you four can. You can get the hunters back, you can talk to Shotha and Dalarash and hopefully get us some support. And, well, if you're looking for a positive incentive, Ran, you might get to talk to Grey again.
Just... Yep, that's the one with all the asterisks next to it.
I'd look between the two of them, slightly bewildered.
He ran, like, almost put his face in his hand, but with a slight blush in his cheeks.
I'd look up at Bartak and just gesture and go, "No. Really?"
I mean, she has been asking when you'd come back.
Of course.
Do I wish him congratulations now or afterwards?
Depends if he actually does anything. Girdle's had a crush on him since he was, what, 10?
Now really the time.
No, but seeing you turn from a shade of green to a sunrise is never-endingly funny.
To be honest, Ranagash, didn't even know you swung that way.
I'm not sure how to take that, but okay.
Well, the only people who have flirted with you so far are men, so, you know, it sort of sets up a penchant.
I mean, there's been hunters as well.
Can you stop, please?
I mean, I just know that your mum thought for about 3 years that there was something between the two of us, so, you know.
Perfectly aware.
What? I'm tired. My filter is gone.
Get some rest then.
Do we have time to do all the things you've listed out, or do we need to split up to do them? If we have to drive this back to seriousness.
Depends how quick the 4 of you are. The healer's tent is obviously by the elders, so try not to make a lot of noise. The ritual grounds, well, you travel to them yourselves, and the hunting grounds is where you came from. It's on the western side when you guys came from the north portion of the forest.
Ranagash, perhaps the two of us should find the first elder and then go get to the other, and we could entrust Wolfric and Markazar to talk to the hunters.
Right, yes, that would work.
Wolfric's
Hopefully.
practical enough.
Yes, is it a horse now? I can never remember.
Next, still be growing wings, so I'm not putting names to it.
Right.
But that's all I have, at least in terms of thought, and then maybe we can at least survive this onslaught whenever it occurs.
Good plan.
I have my moments.
You do.
I just wish I didn't have to have them so often. At least
Alright, Ran, we've places to be tonight. Oh, sorry, Em, I thought you were done.
No, I was just going to say, at least go and get yourself some rest, at least before morning then.
You too.
I will see the two of you in the afternoon. As he kind of gives you a nod, and make sure to watch the two of you leave before he retires back to bed.
Though I think you should already know enough, Radagash, that this is not your night time yet.
These orders, do they mean nothing to you?
He's not my chief.
It was worth a shot.
If whatever this is happens soon, you need to be ready. I'm sorry, but it's important.
Fine.
Now, we need to make sure we're in a more secluded area so you're not summoning ballrooms on top of sleeping orcs.
Why not? They
Makes
might like
sense.
to party.
We like
Like
to party.
to party.
We like to party.
We like to pray.
You're so old.
As when we have the chance and are slightly further away, I'm poking visions out of Radagash again. Because he needs better control.
What are you poking out of him tonight?
Well, he already knows one thing that I want him to do, so I'm having him start with that. Because there was that mural. And if he can poke anything from that, we need that. I don't know if he needs to roll, or if he rolls with advantage because he's done it before, or what have you.
Well, we use the same rules we were using last time, where he rolls against his own spell save DC, based on his spell slots.
I was just poking to see if it was any easier because he's done it now.
For this one, I will give him advantage because he is doing it from a location that he has seen before, so it's a little bit easier because he can actually find it a bit more concrete, and he did succeed very well last time.
I told him to get rid of his casting focus.
Yes. Though we shall see what happens with whatever you ask him next time.
There is one other thing. I'll keep it to 2. There's likely more visions interspersed, but I'll just keep it to the 2 that I think are plot relevant.
Con save? What am I rolling again?
Wisdom. Oh, as I throw my
Wisdom.
pen around.
Wisdom save.
Against your spell save DC.
Is advantage for +3. 14. Not great.
That's not your spell save DC.
No, it is not. I remind myself what that number is. Yep, that's it's not
17?
too far off. 16.
Oh! I thought you had a higher save than that. Oh no, because it's 4 and 4 at the moment, isn't it? You're not 5 yet.
Yes.
You're on 19.
Also, we did get a long rest, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually-
My health.
No, you'll have
Yeah,
had a
how much?
short rest.
Never mind then. Okay,
Get some spell slots back.
back down to 36 HP we go.
I think we'll be long resting.
Yeah,
after
you'll
this.
have been long resting after this, but you'll have short rested between this session and last session.
Be interesting.
All my key points. Boonga boonga.
I'll have a lot of spell slots.
Hey, you have your wizard gimmick.
I do. I forgot about the last time where I get spell slots back for casting divination.
Divination
But anyways, so that was a clairvoyance, yes. That means I get a second level spell slot back, which is not useful, but it's good to have.
It's there if you need it. A scorching ray on wildlife.
So round 2, yes.
Yes. How many
Still
rounds
with
do we have?
advantage?
Yeah, for this one.
I will do that in a minute. KH1 +3. There we go. That'll
That's
Oh,
good.
that's polarizing.
That's polarizing.
Damn, that's crazy.
As you kind of peer into, well, the main hall where you fought Maktor, you fought his spirit, and you kind of peer through the glass towards the kind of shifting stained glass, possibly almost a demi-plane behind it. What are you trying to, I guess, see about it?
What does Eidolon want me to see about it? Because he's the one who
I didn't
wanted to
think
go
this
through
far.
this.
It's more trying to perceive the world that's depicting.
Okay, so yeah, I'll just snoop around then.
Snoop around.
Mm-hmm.
I will snoop around. So you snoop around. You attempt to, I guess, almost pass through the glass and try and materialize in the world itself. Where you're perhaps a bird? You're not too... The reason I say bird very questioningly is you are in a state of flight, where you can kind of feel yourself soaring across the sky and coming to land on a branch of a tree upon a hill. Though when you land on the branch, it's not with feet, it's more you see a coiled, almost serpentine tail wrap around the branch with a relatively pretty feather-tipped end. But you kind of sit and perch on the branch and snoop around your surroundings, where you can see a almost divided landscape that you weren't able to see quite before, as obviously your visions only took you to this hill with those strangers on it. You never saw the lands beyond. When you're looking down the hill, you can almost see almost like a mountainous valley that has split the land in two, with this plain, this flowery field, and this hill being the only portion, at least for hundreds of thousands of miles, that seems to connect the two. Where on one side of it, you can see quite a blossoming city in the distance. Kind of whitewashed sandstone, possibly some interlaced marble, even some silvers and golds that seem to chime out, and you can see a very centralised bell tower. Though even in the distance, the buildings look very large, very towering. And on the other side, you can see a more expansive landscape before it takes a while before a city comes into view. Another very expansive city, though this one I guess is a bit more, rather being fantastical in its design, is perhaps what you'd more assume a modern city to be like. So like a city from real life rather than a city in D&D, where there are big, tall, grey scale buildings that are very close, very compact. The landscape itself seems to be almost destroyed. Green fields turning completely grey, but almost with washed stone rather than cobbles. A kind of grey smog seems to linger to it, and you watch as this plain, or this section of the world, seems to wrap around the mountainside, most likely using it for its resources, where the two seem to be very much apart and stay apart. However, as you kind of sit coiled around the tree, two figures come up the hill from either side. One kind of gets there a little bit earlier than the other, a young woman, kind of very long hair, dressed in, well, kind of simple linens, though they seem to quite starkly quite have a band of almost kaleidoscopic colour, so this mixture of rainbow just right across the shoulder and around her waist. Kind of, I guess, green handy in a way, where it's not like there's not a lot of metals, it's a lot of natural fibres, there's not a lot of additives, everything seems to be like natural dyes, natural hues, or very simple clothes, but very beautiful nonetheless, with her hair that's just been left to grow, as she kind of sits with her knees tucked underneath the tree. Where joining her not too much later is quite a young man, quite a tall man, but a young man, very slender in his form, incredibly thin, not too dissimilar in build to Ranagash, I guess, just a bit taller and a bit more lanky. Paler skin than her, she is quite tanned, he is very white, he has very, very dark, very short hair. And even though he's only wearing the undergarments for it, you can see that his shirt and his trousers are essentially adorned in buckles that would affix him to armour. So whenever there is a join, or whenever there is, I guess, too much in gap, so like he's got one for the wrist, but there's like two between the wrist and the elbow, and then there's two around the elbow. It's just kind of like all of these connection points where armour would almost be affixed to, though for you and the way you see armour, you obviously see plates and then buckles go through the loops, whereas this almost looks like studs, where there are metal spokes that are coming out off of each of these leather bands that look like they probably go into holes for something rather than the armour actually being slid on or buckled on. Though when he arrives and when he comes up, the two of them seem very happy to see one another. You aren't able to make out all of their conversation, as whatever creature you have become doesn't really seem to understand very much of their conversation. However, they seem to be having a conversation that they both seem to be quite happy about. They both seem to be quite jovial about, until the ground starts to shake. And you watch as at the far end of this mountain range, the sky starts to almost split in two, almost rupturing, as the entire mountain valley, almost in an instant, becomes a crater in the ground, as the mountains are almost crumbled and sunk into the earth. The entire of the right-hand side, this more grayscale industrious city, is swallowed by purple mist. Though the other side seems to, whilst the mist penetrates, doesn't seem to fully destroy it. Where the ground starts to crack, the two of them hold one another, and you watch as a purple light starts to almost emanate and cover the world. Where the earth starts to crack even further, splitting it in two, to the point where the crack sits beneath the base of the tree, almost separating the two of them as they are engulfed in purple light. And when the light vanishes, you see a black void, where this white city just sits as a cloud on the distance. And the two figures you saw have gone. They have vanished. As Matthew types up his notes.
I've got all that. It's a lot of words. I need to catch up on some stuff, so that's fine.
But yeah, the world seems almost quiet and stationary, not gifting you anything else to your vision after that.
Wonderful.
As you come back with Eidolon.
I'm assuming none of that was physical this time.
No. Everything seems to be, well, he kind of, I guess the only thing that maybe would have transported into a more physical state as he was having that vision is there are a few feathers that seem to have gathered around Ranagash. Relatively beautiful feathers, but feathers nonetheless.
As it would more just to turn to Ranagash and just be, well,
An interesting place, let's put it that way.
anything to share now, or does that come later?
Nothing that seems pressing, although still potentially concerning, given how the mist operates.
I guess the only important thing then is that you have control over the vision.
Did I? Or was I just kind of
You were more
observing?
You were more passive, you were observing. You weren't as involved with this one, though that might be because you had no idea where you were or what you were seeing. So like you couldn't do very much because you didn't know what to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I didn't force much, but it certainly didn't have control over me. It's hard to dictate when you don't know what you're looking for.
Alright. Suppose it's time to continue.
Alright. What now?
As I probably would do a few more before getting to this point, though this would probably be the last one I do with Ranagash before going to sleep. As it would probably be, hopefully after a few successes. That would be the hope.
It's a good 50-50 where there's a lot of like, and again, and again, and again, as there's a few where it takes him some time to actually either stay in them or actually get them to activate in the first place.
It's more getting to the point where it's like, okay, we can maybe push like 2 hours of sleep before we need to get up. That's maybe pushing it a little bit.
Not for us. For actual Matthew, yes, but for us, no, that's alright.
Nah, it would still be like maybe potentially like 5 hours of sleep before we need to get up for Bartak's early start. Alright, to end with, we'll try something a little bit personal. Though not for either of us this time.
Alright.
Though at least this time there's a slight purpose behind it. Marcusar walked off into the forest today.
Alright. I did see.
I had a chat with him, but it ended on something that I'd quite like an insight into.
Alright.
Marcusar seems like a fine person, but it certainly seemed like the earlier version we met was rather deluded, and I'd quite like an insight into the person who deluded him.
Right. His father, yes.
On the dot.
You know, we could just ask Myrr about this.
I'd more just gesture.
Is it what kind of gesture you're gonna have to specify?
Like, if that works, that works.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're gonna be like, that's not why we're here, Rand.
mean, that's also
I mean, to be
not why we're here, but...
This is a slightly. This was like we've already done the training, so it's like this is information for the sake of information. And if we don't learn anything, then I poke your buttons and make you do it.
Do we know his name?
Eidolon puts up his hand, obviously, and then puts it back down. Just, I don't think do first names work, or do you need a full name?
Is it not just
Should
Wild?
just be his last name. That should be his last name. I do remember Paul saying his father's first name. At least I think. Has he? Because I know Paul has, but I don't know if Marcusar has.
See, this is the thing of I can't remember if Marcusar's actually said his father's name to the party before.
In fairness, it was like 15, 20 sessions ago.
And do you know what? Because I can't remember it, like if I can't remember the Eidolons like remembered or not, I'm gonna say I don't remember it. As we more just I know his last name's Wild, unsurprisingly, but nothing sticks out for a first name.
I suppose the old-fashioned way, whatever.
Old-fashioned, new-fashioned, whatever you consider poking around in your own brain.
All right. 2. Marcus. No. And I don't have advantage now, do I?
Hey!
I don't think you needed it.
Alrighty then, that's
That works!
I was surprised to be sure, but a welcome one.
Ranagash did something for the first time. As Ranagash, you kind of try to peer into something, though you don't really know much about Marcusar's father, other than the fact that obviously he was the leader of the Green Hand prior to Marcusar, and he was an elf. You try to find something to connect them, and, well, the only thing you know of him is Marcusar, so you, I guess, try to use that as a stepping stone, which takes you to a relatively strange place. Or relatively strange end. As you end up back in Summerhost, back in the Forest of Halden. Before you, as you're almost running through the curtain flaps of it, is the tent, the father's tent, where Marcusar stayed whilst you were there. Though when you get into it, it doesn't quite look the same, as there are 3 beds rather than 2. And sort of the corner that was where all of Marcusar's father's stuff was, kind of packed away and kept in a respectful manner, is obviously out. There is quite a lot of papers, a lot of research notes, even flowers, cuttings, books. He seems to be quite an active man, at least in terms of his own mind and his own research. As you head through the tent, you can feel yourself running, almost stumbling through the tent flaps, as standing before you is a very young, probably maybe only just after her first century, Alania. So very young elf. As well as a character that looks very similar to Marcusar as he is now, perhaps 100 years older, and with more kind of blonding hair rather than Marcusar's blue sheen. As what you presume to be Marcusar's father is standing before you with his stepsister. As you come into the tent, quite short, mind you, though quite stocky in your build as you trip over your feet, where the elf kind of steps forward, takes a knee beside you, almost catching you before you trip and fall, kind of wiping away some muck from your shoulder by the looks of things. And where have you been?
Excellent. I now need to work out my Marcusar impression.
You've been Gaerdrah without knowing Gaerdrah. You know Marcusar.
Hello, would you like to talk about our Lord and Savior, the she?
Lady and Savior? That doesn't sound as good.
No. Let's go with out.
I was hoping for something a bit more descriptive than out, Marcusar.
Forest.
As Alania kind of steps forward, you see her kind of almost huffing as she crosses her arms. He was probably out by the farms again. He's lucky he's not got himself killed yet. As the elf kind of almost turns around, looks at her, you can kind of see he looks at you very softly, Even with narrow features, he has very soft eyes. He turns to look at her and it staggers. Well, even if he was, he's back, he's safe, and he's not harmed now. As he kind of turns back to look at you. Almost fussing over you a little bit as he kind of straightens up the kind of linens around your collar. Now, even if you were at those farms, you know you shouldn't be. You're still too young to properly join our cause. But, as he kind of stands up and straightens himself, you need to remember that whilst the axe will always rust, the tree will grow stronger. And you still have a bit of growing to do, my son. But I was looking for the two of you as I had something important I wanted to talk to you about. As I am going away for a while. Not long. I am just venturing into the forest. There are questions I need answers to, and I need to find the guidance of she. It means I need the two of you to be on your best behaviour whilst I'm gone. That means, Alania, you look after your brother, and that means, Marcusar, that you don't go running off into the woods. I need to make sure you're both safe, and I need to make sure you're here when I get back. Is that understood?
Yes.
Alania kind of gives a nod, almost kicks the ground under her feet. Yes, father. As he kind of looks good. Now, Alania, you may go. I wish to speak to your brother alone. As she kind of opens her mouth almost to object, to say something, and he kind of just looks at her very sternly. She kind of closes her mouth, directs almost daggers at you, and walks out of the tent, where he takes a seat, kind of almost on cushions on the ground. So I need to ask you, what is on your mind?
Good question.
What is on your mind?
Where you're going and when you'll be back?
I am venturing into the southern parts of the forest. I will be gone for perhaps only a week. But I know that's not the only thing that is bothering you. My boy, you have been running into the woods and into those farms near Summerhost for the past 2 weeks now. You have barely spoken to anyone. I merely wish to know what is troubling you.
It's one thing asking me to improvise my own character, but this is just unfair.
It's almost like I have purpose for this. You're just going to have to improv and then work it out later.
Let's just go. You know what? I don't have any better ideas. Let's just go with the she, because that's a nice vague answer.
How are you wording your vague answer?
The she.
And what about her?
Just. No. Weird. I know that.
She is always going to seem strange and distant. It's not our place to question her. Just put our faith in her.
Suppose.
As he continues talking to you, I guess topic going towards more the she and her teachings, telling you about her beliefs, and a little bit about the Green Hand, a very kind of almost undying devotion to her and her faith, and the idea that nature will reclaim the world. For that is what she wants, and that is what is needed. A kind of very open message of the, humanity, people are very much a blight. And nature needs to be able to thrive, and it cannot as long as people continue to advance. Though as he's talking, and as he's having this kind of conversation with you, all in very soft tones, mind you, I guess the bleeding effect starts to occur. Where Eidolon on the outside, you obviously see Ranagash sitting down on the ground, channeling his magic and focusing himself, and the forest doesn't really change like it did for your vision with Faerith. Instead, only one thing really starts to be pulled from it. That of a person. that seems to sit
Whoa.
next to Ranagash on the ground, having a conversation with him. Looking somewhat like Marcusar, though quite a bit older, and again, not blue in his hair, more of a kind of blondie browny colour. Though perhaps not as old as you would expect him to be, considering, well, Marcusar's what, 30?
When did Marcusar talked about him?
Yeah, he was definitely an older elf, and this doesn't look like an older elf. This is very much a kind of in-the-mid elf, where for yourself, Ranagash, as you're having your conversation with him, you can start to feel the bleeding effect. Though this time not around you, but on yourself. As your height starts to increase even while sitting down, you don't feel as cold, perhaps a side effect of no longer being reptilian. And you start to feel more like Ranagash, having your own thoughts, even having your own voice patterns as you kind of just nod along or make noises of agreement with the elf. Until, as you're having your vision and Eidolon, you begin to start almost hearing the auditory noises between the two of them in conversation, where the elf kind of almost blinks, takes a look around. Who are you? Where am I?
Please don't tell me you just brought someone back from the dead, Matthew.
I'd like to.
As I guess before the two of you can even really kind of respond, you almost see a shudder or a shock, almost a translucent sheen wash over him, as if what was going to happen with Sophia or Faerith was about to happen, and then it kind of just crackles and erupts, and you have an unconscious elf on the ground.
Fun.
Ranagash,
Yes?
what is happening?
You ask me like I've done this before.
Yes. Please say you've done this before and know
Yes,
what's happening.
I'm just gonna turn and look at him and just say nothing. Like you're up there.
So what the fuck do we do then?
Again, you ask me like I've done this before.
You're the smart one, what do we do?
I don't know.
I want to say we take him back to camp, but if this is the person who had Marcusar act like Marcusar, do we want someone like that? Do we want the Marcusar that killed an innocent person?
Do we want the person that made Marcusar kill an innocent person? Or that made the Marcusar that killed an innocent person? I don't think we do.
Oh, no.
I most certainly... This isn't character, by the way.
Well, I mean, he's unconscious. I don't think it would be very difficult to just put him back in the ground, but...
No.
For some reason, I don't think Marcusar either karmatically or literally would be very happy about that.
Yeah.
What do you do with him?
Just leave him here and go back to camp.
I feel like that's a bad idea.
So what's a good idea?
Okay, how long ago was that? How...
What, him dying?
Yeah. How long have you just...
Maybe 6, 7 months maximum. Though what if this isn't even him brought back? What if you just plucked him out of when he's alive?
don't think...
Don't you dare say you don't think that's possible, because this just happened!
No, I was about to say, I don't think Marcusar would be here. Is he still here? Can we know?
You're a bit out of camp to kind of peek through a tent flap and see if Marks are still there.
Oh god, the fucking baby Hitler discussion actually became a real thing.
Waiting to say that, I was like, when Ewan said that, I was like, ha ha, funny joke. But now it's not a ha ha, funny joke. No, it's
Tempted fate.
no
dude.
existential crisis.
We
Tempted
became the
fate.
joke.
Twisted fate, almost.
Paul, how are you feeling right now? Like emotionally?
I'm having a great time. This is hilarious. I have literally no idea how I'm going to react if what happens. But I have no idea what you're going to do.
Listen,
This is-
Ran, this is your family and friends that we're potentially taking an eco-terrorist back to. An eco-terrorist who is looking for a way to end the... Do you want context, real quick?
I'm already overwhelmed. What more could a little bit more?
Ran melts.
Listen, I learned...
Can't even mentally figure out how that sentence was supposed to go.
I learned a somewhat long time ago that Marcusar's quest was set by his father. That was back in the summer host tent, so that was actually a few months ago now.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm also aware that the dreams door Marcusar seems to be seeking might be the thing that's letting the blight into the world.
Right.
So I don't know for what purpose, just sort of two hands just gesturing at this unconscious body on the ground, why he wanted that.
You try to justify killing him.
No,
'Cause you're
because I
just like-
don't wanna. Because he might have answers.
This is brilliant.
But almost exclusively because of that reason, I have the conflict between letting him live and letting him die, because he might be able to explain some things.
Maybe this is not the time to be resolving this.
So when is?
Question: Is he definitely
wait.
like? Is he definitely corporeal? Like he is there?
If you poke him with a stick, yeah, he's there. He's breathing. He's unconscious.
Can I feel a pulse?
Yeah, he's alive.
Fuck. 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 Fuck.
This is honestly like the best. Like I'm enjoying every moment of this.
This is fucking hilarious, like to me as well, because for
Glad
Paul
you
it's
are
a
enjoying
backstory,
this.
but for me I'm vindicated.
How are you
I've been
vindicated?
vindicated.
Because you said it.
Because he's correct. Because he's correct in his theory of.
Why are you booing me? I'm right.
I never asked for this. I just wanted to be a prophet. I didn't want to be a prophet capable of like goddamn time travel.
Resurrection stone from Harry Potter at this point.
Apparently so.
Pushing up daisies. Please tell me someone else has seen Pushing Up Daisies.
Yeah,
No.
No, but I know what it's about.
it's really good. You should watch it, Paul.
Alright.
Listen. Wait here. I know the second we tell Marcusar about this is kind of the end, so I'm going to go ask the other person who can weigh in on this. Stay here, as I'm gonna go wake up Wolfric.
Cool. So you're on your way back to the tent. Marcusar. Strange coincidence about tonight. So you're sleeping like a baby, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start to have a really strange dream.
What?
Where you start to remember, kind of going back into your own heads and start to pulling on some childhood memories, and for some reason one day in particular just seems to stick out, and you end up having that semi-conscious state where you relive a moment of your life whilst you're dreaming.
Okay.
And it's a day when you are about 12 years old, quite a young dragonborn.
Okay.
Where your dad calls you and Alania into the tent to let you know that he's going on a journey. He's making a pilgrimage to the southern side of Halden. He'll be gone for a couple of weeks. And, well, you know, that's a little perturbing to you, but, you know, you kind of shrug it off. But it is also at quite a point in your life where, you know, you're still questioning where you come from. There's not really been a lot of people in the Green Hand that you've really been able to connect with other than your father. You've spent perhaps maybe the past 2 or 3 weeks darting in and out of camp, spending a lot of time near the farms and Summerhost, just trying to find a way to fit in. And this is a day where your father sat you down in the tent, sent Alania away, asked you what was wrong, and you and him had a heart-to-heart with one another, where you opened up to him about the fact that you didn't feel like you belonged, that you didn't know where you were, that you felt like you had something to prove and you didn't know how to do it, and that you were feeling lost, both not having a place, having a family, and not understanding what this whole she thing was. And this was the day where your father sat you down, and rather than just being Father Evelios, Wild of the Green Hand, and you being his adoptive son, he actually sat you down and told you that he was your dad, that he was your father, that this was your family, that Alania was your sister, that your place was here with the Green Hand, and that your faith in she would come with time. But this was your talk for, I guess, settling you down and realising that no, this is my family, this is where I belong. However, that's your 100% recollection of that memory, but for some reason that's not how it goes in your head when you're reliving that moment. Is for some reason, rather than admitting to your father about your feelings of loneliness, your feelings of isolation, your self-doubts, you then kind of talk to him about the she instead, and just the she, and the fact that the she's kind of weird.
What have I done?
This is introducing very interesting repercussions for Radagash's visions.
Where you yourself, as Marcusar, know that that's not quite the case. That's not how it happened. That's not what was said. And then you have the memory as, for some reason, the tent starts to disappear and bleed into the forest of Myrr. And all of a sudden your dad is kind of asking who you were, and for some reason it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz moment where you're kind of almost certain that like Eidolon's there and like Ranagash is there, but your dad is also there and they've never met either of them, but you're kind of there.
Okay, I'm gonna admit, sorry. Just like, this is why you don't eat cheese before bed.
Gosh, it's the dairy option.
It's the fuck dreams.
As you kind of wake up, almost in a little bit of a cold sweat, as kind of sat up, a little bit panicked, a little bit quick in breath, Eidolon comes back into the hunter's tent.
Sorry, Eidolon comes in, you said?
Yeah. As you wake up in kind of a cold sweat, as Eidolon just kind of comes in, opening the flap, almost looking for someone.
I kind of like wake up. Eidolon?
Evening. Night. It's night.
What are you doing up?
I don't know if you noticed it a few nights ago. Me and Ranagash, I help him train his visions.
Okay, you'll have to help me soon after I just had a weird ass dream.
Alright. I never thought I'd say this. Do you want to talk about it?
It was like I was 12 again with my father. We were back in Summerhost in Hilden, and we were having this like really deep conversation and stuff like that. But then all this like really like it didn't happen how I remembered it, you know? It was like I kept like asking about she, and then
Oh, you don't do that normally?
well, I obviously when I was a kid I was curious, but it was the only thing I talk about. It's like I didn't know what I was talking about, but I obviously like I do kind of know. And then he was like, he asked me like who I was, which is weird because I'm his son. And then the forest started to like shift, and then we were like in Myrr, and then you were there, and
you were there, and you were there, and you were there.
And then Radagash was there as well. It was so confusing.
Listen, I'd recommend... Dreams are strange, but I'd recommend getting some rest. We need to be up in about 2 hours. The chief's asked us to do things.
I'll try to sleep. I don't know how I'll get back to sleep after that.
In the meantime, I need this oaf.
Who? Wulfric?
Yeah.
What do you need him for?
I need him to help me carry Ranagash back. He's fine. Don't worry about it. He just needs sleep. I may have pushed him a bit hard.
Sure, I can't help.
Nah, it's fine. He just needs, I gesture at Wulfric's muscly arms.
You know what? Fair. I'll try to get back to sleep.
We'll probably wake you up when we get back, so
Okay, well, try to be quiet.
I'll try. Okay. Not very good at it. As I go over and fucking kick Wolfric.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Wolfric, I need your help. Ranagash is a little stuck.
Alright.
As I lead him out the tent.
The best of luck to you. And I turn back over.
As soon as they're far enough away, Ranagash isn't stuck, is he?
The second we're decently away from the tent, I'll just turn to you. Eidolon turns around with an expression you've probably never seen in his face before. He puts both of his hands on your shoulders. He's like, "Fuck, you're real. Okay, this is real. This is real."
What do you mean this is real?
Marcusar's dad is back, like alive, and he's over there with Ranagash and unconscious. Please.
I'm going back
Come.
to bed.
No.
Like grabs hold of Wolfric. Nope, you're not going back to bed.
Hopefully, does Wolfric come along?
Yes, Wolfric comes up. What?
As I take him over to the site where Ranagash is.
Ranagash just staring at unconscious elf.
It's like pacing back and forwards, hands on the side of his head, just going, "Oh god, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck, oh god."
Okay, Wolfric, before any judgment or conclusion, or we make any discussion, quick elaboration. Do I have your ear?
Let me guess. The hypothetical that I said turned out to be real.
Okay, part one of this. Yes, Ranagash, vision, solid vision. Now it's here, and it's not gone away yet. Secondary point, we don't know what to do with this. Elaboration. I was a lot more eloquent with Ranagash. This person sent Marcusar to go find the thing. Thing is likely thing creating blight into this world.
Well, does he know that?
This guy?
Yeah?
I don't fucking know!
You watch as he
Okay.
shifts slightly as you shout, "I don't fucking know." Is obviously he is unconscious, and that's starting to stir him.
Right. We are not going to kill him.
No, obviously.
What we're going to do is we're going to try and make sure that Marcusar doesn't freak the fuck out when he finds out, and he will find out, because he always finds out.
Well, if we're not killing him, there's no way that Marcusar won't find out.
We have to do one of two things. We either tell him the complete truth and cause him to have a nervous breakdown, or we just lie to him. We lie through our fucking teeth about literally anything. We convince him that the Dream's Door was destroyed. We convince him that it never existed in the first place. We convince him that every year of research he spent was completely fucking false. We either that, or we tell him that the Dream's Door will destroy nature as we know it. If that's what he's looking for, if he's looking to destroy nature, he will say that in front of Marcusar, and it will completely shatter Marcusar's worldview of his father, but that's exactly what we need to do. Or, if it turns out he's just misguided, we send him back to the Green Hand.
Thank you for a voice of reason.
Someone's got to be.
I hope you can understand the shock, though.
Yeah,
this
well, he's
disappears.
kind of famously very dead.
Famous. Infamous. Depends on how Summerhost is.
Being famously very dead and then being alive at my foot are two things that tend to not coexist.
Okay. It's just we don't know if the person at our feet is misguided or if he's going to act rashly. I mean, I think the worst outcome would be if he ran into Gaerdrah. We just don't let that happen.
I think that we need to... Ranagash's visions are very useful. We need to stop getting you to train him on them so far, because a couple of days ago, he couldn't bring corporeal people who are dead in the present back to life.
Listen, I want to agree, but also within the past 3 days, Ranagash hasn't had a vision entirely.
That may just be where it is. My fear is that if he does this again, he could bring... if he has an apocalyptic vision, he could very well bring that apocalypse into the present.
Listen, Wolfric, that's exactly why I've set to doing this. He's not had an involuntary vision. which means he hasn't dreamed the end of the. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the first time it happened was before we started this.
Bearer of
Your
bad
wedding.
news, Eidolon, this is the worst fucking news. This is actually could not get any worse.
Well, I can think of a few ways, but
Well, yeah, well, I suppose the only way we're gonna find out is that if that fucker wakes up and it turns out that he's been one of Gaerdrah's lackeys this entire time.
Eidolon gives a very awkward, nervous shrug.
Your lack of certainty is amazingly reassuring, Eidolon.
Listen, I'm used to knowing what's going on. This is not what I thought was going to happen.
I never have any clue what's going on. I don't know if you've ever noticed, Eidolon, but I'm very fucking stupid. I only have the vaguest clue of what's going on most of the time. I can deal with normal situations because I'm a normal man from a normal village who had an ostensibly normal life until a fucking dragon knocked me into a ravine.
I mean, I would apologize, but we're already working towards that.
Yeah. You do not control the actions of your involuntarily celibate, crazy ex-best friend.
No bad blood before we start discussing this again.
No, absolutely no bad blood. I don't have anything against you. I have everything against Gaerdrah for sending a big, black, scaly lizard fucking thing to try and murder me and to murder several of my friends. But anyway.
So at present time, what do we do with the unconscious form?
We let him wake up of his own accord. If we jolt him awake, we genuinely might send him into shock, which will not make our progression any easier. Perhaps it is best that Marcusar sees him while he's unconscious, but before he stirs, so that at least he knows, and then doesn't immediately freak out. Because I feel like if his father started talking to him, he would fucking pass out. Considering his father's been dead for how fucking long?
6-7 months, max.
6-7 months? Definitely would be very worried if his father was dead. Or if his father started talking to him, considering his father's been dead. This is not one of... We need to make it clear to him, this is not one of Gaerdrah's machinations. This is a side effect of Ranagash's vision.
Alright.
Because... naturally, if someone I knew that was very close to me had been brought back from the dead, my assumption is it would be Gaerdrah. Regardless of whether or not you guys knew about it, I would assume it was Gaerdrah.
I mean, yes, almost definitely. Yes.
Because the limey bastard's got so many fingers and so many pies, he must be running out of hands.
I didn't know he had more than 2, but clearly I was wrong.
We just wait for Marcusar to wake up, and then we broach it gently. It's all we can do. The world has thrown us a curveball. Life's a party and we're the piñata.
Do we just see now if we can catch the ball?
We're not looking to catch the ball, we're looking to knock it out of the fucking park.
Are you alright, Ranagash?
God, oh fuck, oh god, oh.
This entire conversation, he's just been oh god, oh fucking in the background.
Yeah.
Ranagash, I appreciate your panic. I'm gonna need you to pull it together. Because Marcusar's gonna freak the fuck out. Because whether or not you did it intentionally, you've just brought his father back from the dead.
God, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck.
Or even worse, from, the past.
He puts his hand on Ranagash's shoulder. Ranagash, are you listening to me?
Sort of like, almost, like, he's been pacing and you stop him and he's like almost trying to walk, but still just, oh god, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck.
Right. I would say I'm sorry, but I'm not. He takes his ring finger and backhands Ranagash.
Can you give me an attack roll to see how strong your backhand is?
Don't even think I have mage armor at this point because it's the night. No. You missed it.
That would be
slash
funny.
R 1d20 plus 8. 11.
I think that hits.
It does.
Just-
Not by a lot, but it does.
It's not a very hard slap because he's not trying to hurt you.
It's just
Mhm.
enough that it's like, ow!
And I imagine they almost falls, but manages to catch himself just a bit.
I
Hey, boys,
appreciate freaking out, but we need you to pull it together because Marcusar might actually fucking lose his shit. Because
We
that's
can't
his
be losing
father,
our
and
shit.
his father has been dead for months. This is also a version of his father that is a lot younger.
Or might just be elf age.
I don't know
I
how
mean,
else.
he doesn't look like the age that Marcusar described him as being. I don't know how elves age physically, but he doesn't look particularly old. I've seen some fucking old elves.
Silor being one of them.
We leave Crazy Book Grandpa out of this. He's an outlier.
He's having a good time. Let him have a good time.
He is all thoughts, no vibes.
Thoughts, no vibes.
Right. We'll just wait for him to wake up, and then we'll figure it out.
Do you leave him in the woods?
We're not going to leave him in the woods. We're going to take him inside.
We need to check if Marcusar's awake before we enter the tent first.
Yes.
Who's doing the check for Marcusar being awake?
Eidolon, you do it.
I can do that because I have eyes.
Marcusar, would you still be awake? Would you have been able to get back to sleep?
I think. Well, can I roll for it?
Yeah.
Because I don't want this to be up to me. I want the dice to decide if I know this happens.
The dice.
The dice. I don't know what kind of roll that would be.
Constitution usually, because it's your kind of whether you'd go to
That's-
sleep or not.
Just a straight Constitution.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can decide on the DC in your brain.
I go straight back to sleep. I am out like a light. As soon as that tent door is closed, head hit the pillow, out cold.
The cheese.
Solid
bomb
void
again.
over there. Bloody cheese dream.
Peek back out. Yeah, we're good.
You just like. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep.
Well,
Right.
we're awake in about 4 hours anyway.
Put Marcusar's dad in the corner. Put a blanket over him.
No one puts Marcusar's dad in the corner.
You'll be fine. You'll wake up. You'll live. I hope.
Again.
Again.
Oh, this is so dumb. I love it.
I guess, what did the three of you do for the rest of the night, or do you wake Marcusar up to let him know about his...
No, not yet.
No, we're waiting until next week. No, we're not. That's not happening this session. No.
Let's
No,
give
no,
them
no.
a week to think about it.
Ewan's
No,
had
no,
enough
no.
crazy for tonight.
I've had it. Wolfric and I are both perpetually done. This is a Wolfric Ewan overlap.
I would turn to Ranagash and say one thing before the end. Ran,
Yes.
I feel like the next focus needs to be on ending the visions.
Somehow I agree with you.
As yes, with Marcusar sleeping like a baby, and the three of you probably not actually sleeping, though probably attempting to, maybe, kind of. We'll see. Since you want to deal with no more crazy, which is an appropriate place for me to cut this session. We'll see what happens when you get to deal with the crazy next week. Haha. Well, you'll get to actually see if Marcusar's dad's still there in the morning. He still has time to disappear, right, guys?
Yeah.
Right, guys? I'm gonna tell you now, if I wake up and see my dad, I'm gonna have a fucking crisis.
As for now, it is goodbye from me, and goodbye from my traumatized boys.
Bye.
Bye.